The government had a consultation period on its new plan for immigration. And the plan was presented as the government's intentions to build what it called a fair but firm asylum and illegal immigration system. Not only the word illegal, but the word fair appeared a number of times in the document as well. So Catholic charities, JRS, the Bishops' Conference, CSAN, SVP, many Catholic charities responded to the consultation, but none of them agreed that the new plan was fair. In fact, it is believed that it is the opposite, unfair and unjust. How did we come to that conclusion? And that, of course, is what we are looking at in this judge section. One of the principles of Catholic social teaching is the preferential option for the poor, which means we need always to keep in mind how any decision might impact upon the poor. It also means, as Pope Francis says, to put the poor at the center of our thinking. An immigration system which opens the doors only to the highly skilled by operating a points-based system reverses that principle to favor those who have wealth and wish to increase it. Those in need are rejected as it is believed that they have nothing to contribute, something that in fact is very untrue. Secondly, the new plan is regarded as unfair, as this discrimination is compounded by differentiating according to the method of arrival in this country. The new plan treats those who risk their lives in coming here because they had no other choice in the way they did, from those who are selected for safe arrival. Catholic social teaching also states that every person must be treated with equal care, equal compassion, equal dignity. All are made in the image of God. They are all refugees, all fleeing for whatever reason. The new plan says we'll accept some of them and we will reject others. And a very important point on the reopened community sponsorship scheme is that there are no target figures. We do not know how many the government intends to allow to come here under the reopened scheme. The new plan is presented as a means of removing people smugglers from the scenario. In fact, the new barriers will actually probably increase refugees being put into the arms of people smugglers and traffickers. People compelled to make unsafe journeys are exposed to greater risks of harm and abuse. When there are no safe and legal routes, other routes become necessary. And worst of all, some refugees have been mistakenly identified as smugglers and prosecuted. And any plan should ensure that victims are never criminalized. Bishop William Kenny, in his submission on the new plan, said, across the world, it has been consistently demonstrated that policies criminalizing those seeking sanctuary and introducing new border security measures do not save lives, but is simply a charter for trafficking. The new plan speaks also of what it calls reception centers, which sounds very nice, a reception center, which will provide basic accommodation. And as Sophie mentioned, you will have heard of Napier Barracks, which was used as such a center. It transpired that it wasn't fit for human habitation. Upon arrival in this country, what the basic need is that those refugees are provided with nothing less than what will affirm and not undermine their human dignity. Another principle of Catholic social teaching. Rather, and Sophie mentioned this as well, rather than being welcomed in the new plan, they will be subject to an investigation to establish two things: that they are who they say they are, which will be impossible. If you're fleeing a war situation, you don't stop to bring your documents with you. Secondly, they will have to show that they are experiencing a genuine fear of persecution. To me, this shows a misunderstanding as to why people flee in the first place. It may be because of persecution. It may be because of war. Then we might ask, who supplied the weapons for that war? What country was involved in arms dealing? They may have fled because they can no longer sustain themselves due to climate change. Industrialized nations are responsible for rising temperatures, which affect the planet. One of the great principles which Pope Francis has advanced is that of interdependence. Everything is connected, he says. When people flee their country, is it possible, and this is part of the judge section, one of the questions we should ask, is it possible that we were somehow involved in creating those conditions which influenced their decision to flee? In the Gospel, we are told that our Blessed Lady pondered everything in her heart. One translation has it, she put everything together. On making a judgment about the new plan for immigration, one can look at what is immediately before us, refugees seeking shelter, and address that question, which we should do. We can also be bolder and ask, how did this happen? Are we somehow responsible for this situation? What is clear from the scriptures and from Catholic social teaching is that we are our brothers and sisters' keeper, responsible for their well-being. It is our obligation to protect them. We can't simply close our borders and think of ourselves. Fratelli Tutti presents the ideal of universal fraternity. With the new plan for immigration, we do the opposite. We isolate ourselves. Self-preservation and self-interest is its goal. It doesn't take the global situation into account. So it is up to us to ask these questions and make a judgment. For the immediate, what is needed is concern for those who are attempting to find a safe haven. We need to advocate on their behalf. At the same time, we need to ask and encourage others to ask, why are there refugees and those who are seeking asylum in the first place? And the answer to that question is not what many would suspect, nor indeed what some of the media want us to believe. Thank you.